Hi, welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. This is Dianne, your lactation consultant, mother of Nathan, who's 25, and Jess and Brandon, who are 23, and all breastfed babes. Didn't know what I was doing, but I breastfed them anyway. And lactation consultant and maternal child health specialist.
And I'm Abby, the badass breastfeeder. And I have 14-year-old Jack, who breastfed till he was 6.5, and Exley, who was 11, who breastfed till he was 5. And I have a social work background. I was helping my social work friend with her resume a couple days ago, or yesterday, the past week or so. I was just having so many flashbacks to like social work with all of the like resume jargon and all of that. Oh, the memories. And that's it. Today's episode is brought to you by Solid Starts. Solid Starts is the app that helps you feel calm and confident when you are starting solids with your baby. It'll answer all of your questions. You know, what food to start with, how do you serve it, how often, all of the questions that people have when they're starting solids. And we'll hear more about that later. But you can head to badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com and check our sponsor page. If you ever need anything, see if you can give any of them your business, because they make this podcast possible. And we have very carefully curated this group of people. We have turned a lot of people down because they just do not align with us. And the people that we do promote and put on that website, we are big fans of. Also, scroll down and enter your email address, and we'll send an episode straight to your inbox every week. And we're on Patreon. And we would love to see you join our private and judgment-free community. You can access lactation support from members, from Dianne, your IBCLC, and myself through our weekly wellness checks. And you will also receive access to our new podcast, Revolution Parenting, where we talk about parenting topics to grow kinder and more compassionate adults. You'll have a community of badasses to receive parenting support from during your most challenging times. And your membership helps fund evidence-based, no-nonsense support here on the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast and Revolution Parenting. Revolution Parenting can only be found on Patreon. So head to the top link in the show notes under this episode, wherever you're listening from, and you'll click that link and choose a tier that looks best to you. We're still hosting our ongoing giveaway for people who leave reviews around the internet, specifically on iTunes. iTunes reviews help give more visibility to our podcast. So if you can leave a review there, we would love it. And thank you very much. Take a screenshot and send it along with your address to badassbreastfeedingpodcast@gmail.com. And as a thank you, we will send you a goodie bag of Thank You for Nursing in Public cards and podcast stickers. And we will also send you a goodie bag if you send me a breastfeeding photo to share on social media on the Badass Breastfeeder social channels, which I love to do. So send that along with your address as well to badassbreastfeedingpodcast@gmail.com. And we'll send you one of those goodie bags. As a thank you, you can write something about yourself or not, either way. And now Dianne has our review of the week.
And it says, thank you for all that you do. My journey started out rough, but I stayed strong, and here I am still breastfeeding my baby at 17 months old. Your podcast is very reassuring to moms like me, and your podcast helps moms not to feel alone during their breastfeeding journey. Thank you. Aww. Thank you. I know, very sweet. And congratulations to you. 17 months is a long time.
That is a long time.
Yes. Very, very cool. And we're just talking about if you listen to the episode from last week, we were talking about how important having that support is. And it really is important to have support while you're breastfeeding, whether it be listening to us or being a Patreon member or just having the support of an IBCLC or support group or something like that. It's just really important to feel like you belong. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Today we're going to talk about reflux.
Yay.
Yay, reflux. Because it is like such a pain. But I recently was at a webinar or watched a webinar about reflux. And I did because, well, I was interested in watching it because reflux is so common. And I hear about it all the time with my clients, or I'm saying to them, sounds like your baby has reflux because of just some things that they're, kind of putting out there to me. And then I was like, I wonder how long has it been since we've done an episode on reflux? And it's been like 5 years since we've talked about reflux.
I saw that. What the hell?
I know. Long
so
time.
Weird.
Time goes by. We're like in a vortex.
Time is weird.
So I wanted to definitely talk about it again. So what is reflux? Reflux is when what your baby has eaten is coming up through their esophagus and into their mouth. And sometimes they spit it out and it's spit up. Sometimes they just swallow it back down again. But sometimes this is bothersome to them. Like with some babies, it is painful because it's like stomach acid coming up and it's burning. Like if you ever had reflux, it's the same thing. So sometimes that's what they're upset about. And sometimes they don't care. You have some babies who are just like super happy. They just spit up and that's it. And that, they don't really care that it's happening. More than 50% of infants spit up at 2 months old. So spitting up is really, really normal. It's just normal. And if your baby does have reflux peaks at 4 months, often resolving by 6 months. So a lot of this is because of their esophagus being it's short. The esophagus is short, but it also has that sphincter muscle, which is between the stomach and the esophagus, which is immature. So it's a very developmental thing too. So as your baby gets bigger and stronger and that sphincter gets a little bit stronger, then you're not going to see as much spitting up. You're not going to see as much reflux. So it is something that just gets better as your baby gets a little bit older. So sometimes it's just a matter of time. But with some babies, it's severe. And some babies, it's just like, okay, we see some reflux. Let's just kind of manage it and, manage your baby, hold them upright. We're going to talk about things that you can do to kind of manage the reflux, but sometimes that's all you need to do. So if your baby is spitting up, but they're happy and they're normal and they're acting fine and they're gaining weight well, then we don't need to worry about it. That spitting up is really normal. And we just kind of like, they call them like happy spitters.
Yeah.
And we always say, well, it's more of a laundry problem. Like I had my Brandon was a spitter upper. So he was like always spitting up and never was like unhappy with it. Like he was fine. It was just a freaking mess all the time. I was constantly like changing his clothes and he was just spitting up. I was constantly changing my clothes because he was spitting up on me.
Yeah.
But really normal for some babies. Like I said, like 50% of babies spit up. So what are some risk factors? When should you think that this is like, is your baby a risk factor? Prematurity, because they're going to be more, their muscles and things like that are going to be more immature. So if your baby was a premature baby, overfeeding, infrequent feeding, or scheduled feeding. So you might think like, why is that a problem? Because if you go long spans of time between feeds, this gives that stomach acid time to churn up. So we want to be feeding them small, frequent feedings is what actually does it better for them, not like these big feeds at, like 4 hours. Okay, they get one big feed at every 4 hours. No, this can cause more reflux problems for them. So you want to do smaller, frequent feedings, and that will keep them more comfortable. Aerophagia, which is air swallowing. So if you get that more with bottle feeds, you get that with babies who have like swallowing problems. If they have like oral dysfunction, if they have like a tongue tie, sometimes you're swallowing more air with a tongue tie, and those babies get more reflux. Like I said, bottle feeding problems. We want to make sure that we're bottle feeding the correct way. If you're not, that can cause more air, which can cause more problems with reflux. If you have too much milk, if you're a parent that makes too much milk, we call that hyperlactation, then that could be an issue with reflux. That could be leading to the reflux. Allergy or sensitization. I don't think I'm saying that right. Where maybe your baby is got some cow's milk sensitivity, cow's milk protein sensitivity, that can cause some reflux issues to happen. So any of these things can be a risk factor for your baby. But just because they are premature doesn't mean they're automatically going to have reflux, right? Like you just these are just risk factors. So when is it a problem though? Like when do you do something about it? So your baby's a happy spitter. Do you do anything about it? No. You just let them be. If they're happy, they're growing, we just leave them alone. Like don't look for a problem where there's not a problem. But if your baby has any of these like red flags, if they're not gaining weight well, if their reflux is so severe that it's keeping them from gaining weight, then that is a problem. And that is something that I have seen only maybe once or twice. Like I haven't seen it a lot where it's actually kept them from gaining weight. Feeding refusal or distress with feeds. So they're just like refusing to feed. They don't want to eat. Coughing, persistent coughing, choking, or apnea. If they're really like, when you lay them down to go to sleep and they're choking, that is a problem. That's a red flag. We want to make sure that we're like taking care of that, obviously. Blood in their stool or in their vomit, that's obviously a red flag. Severe irritability that seems like it's pain driven. So, like I said, some babies are really bothered by the reflux coming up because it is burning. So if it seems like they're in pain, they're crying because they're in pain. And you know that because they're like crying a lot and then they spit up and then they're fine, right? Like you can definitely tell when your baby is in pain. Like you can just tell. I don't know how else to put that, but yeah, it's like a different kind of cry even. Like they're definitely like not comfortable. And you can tell. So that is something that and they're going to be more irritable. So that is also a red flag. So how do you know if it's reflux or overfeeding or fast flow, right? Like, what do you look for? So if you have an oversupply, some people don't realize they have an oversupply. So if you do have an oversupply, that is when you're just making way too much milk. Your baby is like, oh my God, I'm getting way too much milk. This is crazy. They're being flooded. They might be choking, pulling off the breast. Milk is going all in their face. Like it is just a whole thing. They might be fussier at the breast. They might have frequent spitting up. We see that with fast letdown and with too much milk. If they're getting too much milk, they're spitting up more. They're gulping a lot, which means they're taking in more air, which could mean more reflux issues. So sometimes it's just how to manage the flow of the milk. If you're somebody that has too much milk, we need to figure out that oversupply because that can really cause a lot of problems. And sometimes people think, oh yeah, having more milk is a better problem to have. It causes a lot of problems for your baby when you have too much milk. and it can cause a lot of problems for you. So you want to definitely make sure that you are keeping track of, like, is there too much milk here for my baby? Is it a fast flow? Is it too much? Are they choking? Are they gagging with the letdown? We need to adjust how your baby's eating if that's the situation. So we've had episodes about cow's milk protein allergy. We just did one not that long ago. And that can be an issue with reflux because it's just, they're getting, they're not comfortable. Their stomach is upset. It's causing more spitting up. Like, we just see that more with cow's milk protein allergies. So you want to definitely know, is this a problem with a cow's milk protein allergy, or do they already have that? And that's what's causing their reflux issues. So sometimes those things can be kind of tied in. So maybe we should take a break, and then we're going to talk about like what you can do for your babies.
Alrighty. Today's episode is brought to you by Solid Starts. Solid Starts is the app that helps you feel calm and confident when it's time to introduce solid foods to your baby. If you've ever thought, what food do I start with? Or how do I serve strawberries safely? Or chicken or any other food? Solid Starts walks you through it step by step. Inside this app, you're going to find a huge first foods database with simple, age-appropriate serving guidance on each food, plus recipes, practical guides, and tools created by a team of pediatric pros, including feeding specialists, pediatric dietitians, pediatricians, and pediatric allergists. The Solid Starts app walks you through how to safely introduce common food allergens, which is always very stressful for new parents, like peanuts and eggs to your baby. Make sure you know when to start, how to offer them, what high risk actually means, and how to build regular exposure in a way that feels doable for you. It's designed for your real life, your busy days, messy meals, and all the questions that pop up in between. Whether you're just getting started or you're troubleshooting gagging, oh my God, that's so scary, overstuffing, picky phases, so stressful, Solid Starts is like having a supportive expert in your pocket. And for you badasses, Solid Starts is offering a discount, 25% off of your first year annual subscription. Use code BADASS in the App Store, or easier for me, if you're like me and can't figure things out, just go in the show notes under this episode, wherever you're listening from, and there is a direct link to the Solid Starts app with the discount code already applied. And you can get this great resource. This is one of our favorites. And all of our sponsors and their promo codes can be found in the show notes under this episode, wherever you're listening from. Also, at badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com, you'll find all of the sponsors we've ever had on our sponsor page. Again, give them any of your business if you can. If you ever need anything, just look there. You'll also find at badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com, you'll find our favorite resources page, which people are always emailing me about. Like, I saw your resources page. Can I add this? Can I add this random thing and this random thing? And I'm like, what? No, you can't. This is
really? People email about that?
Yes, they do. They do.
Oh my God.
Like, oh, can we just add this? And it's like, I can't even think of something like not even breastfeeding related. They're just trying to get their link on websites, that help it kind of get out there. But I'm like, this is not what we're about. This is all of our stuff. You'll also find all of our other episodes. I feel like we have to be reaching 500 soon.
Yeah.
I don't know where we're at, but we should do something at 500 because that's a lot.
Yeah. We're close.
And you'll find information about scheduling your very own one-on-one online lactation consultation with Dianne. And listeners do it all the time.
Yeah, people do it. I have one tomorrow, as a matter of fact, with a listener. People do it.
Yeah. You need
You could do
lactation consultations. You don't need what was it? The Lou, the Zoo, the Moo, the Sue?
Oh, the snoo.
Snoo.
Yeah, the
You don't
bassinet.
need the bassinet. You need a lactation consultant. That's
yeah,
what you
for
need.
sure. Absolutely. And we can do a lot over video. So don't worry if you don't live nearby.
Yeah, there's so much going on over video these days. I mean, you know, Diane knows what she's doing.
Yeah, we can totally do it. So how can you help your baby? First thing we're going to talk about is medication. And we're going to talk about it first because it's not necessary. So some babies, if it's very severe, might do well on medication. But the one thing, sometimes people rush to medication. Some pediatricians are very quick to give the medication. Some are not quick to give the medication. So it really just depends on, I think personally, some pediatricians just kind of feed off of what the parent is doing. And if the parent is really like freaked out by this whole thing and want the medication. But the things to remember is that they're acid suppressing meds. They don't stop the reflux. They don't stop spitting up. They only reduce the acidity. So it's really important if you are somebody who's like, my baby is spitting up all the time, I think this is bothering them, all of that stuff, and you want the medication is not going to get rid of the spitting up. That is just something that they're still going to continue to do. And I think we get more freaked out by the spitting up than the baby does, to be honest with you. So just know that if you choose to do medication, it's not going to stop the spitting up. There's also limited evidence of effectiveness in many infants. And there is some potential risks, just like every medication, right? Like there's just because it's for your infant doesn't mean that there aren't side effects or risks. So definitely look into it really well before you decide to do it. It can be helpful for some babies. It really can, but so can just altering how you're feeding your baby might make the huge difference of what we need to do.
Well, and that's where the pediatrician just doesn't really know.
Yeah.
That's where they're going to be like, they know medication.
Yeah.
So they'll be like, oh, this will help, when maybe there's another way if you worked with a lactation consultant.
Yeah. Yeah. There might be other ways for you. So some other things that you can do is avoid overfeeding. This is the first thing. If you are giving bottles, and people ask all the time, well, I thought you couldn't overfeed a breastfed baby. I hear that all the time. No, they can be overfed, especially if you have a lot of milk. If you're an oversupplier, you're hyperlactation, that baby can get too much milk. They can be overfed. If you're bottle feeding, that baby can be overfed. So it is something to consider that the baby could be overfeeding, and too much milk can equal to reflux. Just like when we overeat, just think of yourself. And a lot of people have reflux when they're pregnant. So if you did, you know that it's uncomfortable, and you know that smaller frequent feeds is what helps. The same with your baby. Smaller frequent feeds is what helps them. So we want to kind of do what is going to be best for your baby. Upright feeding positions after feedings for short periods of time. So making sure that your baby is upright, hold them upright after they eat. It doesn't have to be. Sometimes people are like, oh, I hold my baby upright for half an hour after they eat. Like, it doesn't have to be for that long. But definitely hold them upright, because if you feed them and then lay them back down, that immature sphincter muscle between the stomach and the esophagus is just not keeping the milk in. And as soon as you lay them down, it's just going to flow back up again. So keep in mind, that's why that happens. Try to keep them upright if you can. If you're changing a diaper after a feeding, instead of like pushing their legs up and into their stomach, which is going to just push everything forward, try rolling them instead, back and forth from one side to the other while you're changing them. That will help them to not spit up as much when you're changing them. Watching for their feeding cues. So smaller frequent feeds, no overfeeding, and what was the last one that I was going for? Watching their cues to know when they're done eating. So kind of adjusting how their feedings are. So closely space them, like 2 to 3 hours, closely spaced feeds. Like I was saying earlier, it can prevent overfeeding, and it can also kind of buffer that gastric acid. So we want to make sure that our baby is staying comfortable. So feeding more frequently is going to be helpful for them. Laid back positioning for fast flow. If you have a faster flow, if you have an oversupply or fast milk flow, usually those two things go together. Not always, but usually. So you want to kind of maybe lean back with your baby while your baby's eating. Lay down can help. Sometimes people say, well, if I'm laying down, isn't that going to cause more reflux for the baby? If it's actually helping them to feed less fast, then it's going to be beneficial for them. Babies should still be like, positional management is going to be important for them. So angled positions like a car seat or a swing, those things aren't necessarily going to be better. It's holding them upright that is going to be better for them. Not
Wait,
like,
what about the car seat? What?
So if you put them like in an angled position, like you put them in a car seat, like that's still going to cause the milk to come up. You know what I mean? It's still like, or in a swing, that's still going to kind of cause that milk to come up.
Too laid, too far back.
Too reclined. Yeah. So as I said, your baby is spitting up all the time. That can kind of feel alarming, and it might feel like there's something like wrong with your baby. Reflux is so common. It really is. It is so common. And like I was saying in the beginning, the spitting up is so common. It can be more of a crisis for us than for them, but it does get better. So don't like just assume that your baby is in a crisis, because it might just be that they're just spitting up, and if they're perfectly happy, then that's okay.
And it doesn't mean that they have like a stomach issue forever.
Right.
Right. Like I don't know this. If there's any correlation between like reflux as a baby and reflux as an adult.
I don't know. I've never heard anything about that. That's interesting though. It would be interesting to know.
It's not like, oh, this is like like my baby has a condition that they're going to live with for the rest of their life.
Oh, no.
It's just that it's that early, that like you were saying, like the sphincter muscle and the just being new and all of this.
Yeah, that's all it is. And it gets better by like 6 months. And one of the doctors that I used to work with, I remember him saying it gets better like as babies are sitting up more instead of just laying on their back all the time. That can really make a huge difference for them too. Which makes sense, right? If they're not laying down all the time, which babies do, because what else are they going to do? They're just laying down all the time. So if you can have them up a little bit more, put them in a carrier, that can help a lot. Just kind of keep them upright can help. If they're sitting, if they're old enough to actually sit, then that is going to help them, because everything is staying down. If they're just laying around, being, babies, just laying there, they're going to have more stuff coming up. Yeah. It's just the way it is. So some things that are kind of like things that you might hear. Spit up can be too much acid, too much stomach acid. Like that might be something that you might hear when it comes to reflux. But sometimes it's just too much volume.
Yeah.
So you really just need to work on like, how much is the baby getting? That really is, we're really living in this phase where everybody just really thinks babies can't be overfed, but they can be. So think about the volume that your baby's getting. That could be more of the issue, not necessarily stomach acid. It could be more of like, oh, the baby's just getting too much. meds will fix everything. They don't necessarily fix all of this. Again, this is your baby's stomach sphincter and immaturity and too much volume. It's not something that meds are going to always fix. And like I mentioned, meds do not help the actual spitting up. They only help to control stomach acid. So it might not be something that helps them. The one thing that is good about meds is that if you find that you're giving them to your baby and it's not helping them, then stop giving it to them. Like, you don't have to continue to give it to them. It's not one of those things. Some people, feel like, oh my gosh, if I put my baby on meds, they're going to be on it for a long period of time. No, a lot of parents go off of them by the time their baby is like 6 or 7 months old, especially if it's something that's severe. And then as they're starting, and you need it because it's severe, and they're starting to get better and it's starting to improve, and then you can just stop on them, stop with the meds. Cutting dairy. Sometimes people go, oh, just cut dairy.
Mm-hmm.
Only in very specific situations is that an issue.
If dairy is an issue.
Right. If dairy is an issue.
It might not be.
Sometimes people say babies should be sleeping inclined. That is not accurate. You want your baby on a flat surface. So don't put them in a snoo and incline them. So make sure that they are staying flat when they sleep, which can be hard because we know that being flat causes that reflux to come up. But if you're holding them upright for a little bit of time after they eat, that can help with that a lot. See a lactation consultant. This can be important because if it is a situation where it's like an oversupply or baby is like feeding too much or you're giving them too much to eat, you see a lactation consultant. If it's a problem where they're swallowing too much air, lactation consultant can really help with this stuff and kind of get a handle on what is actually going on. Is it reflux or is it just like feeding management? Mm-hmm. Sometimes we can really help with that and determine it. So what does help is time and development, feeding adjustments, and really feel like you're being supported through this. Don't let people just go, oh yeah, your baby's got reflux and kind of like leave it alone. Mm-hmm. If you feel like this is overwhelming for you, then definitely get some help. What is not helpful is like restricting your own diet. Sometimes people say, oh, don't eat certain things. Don't eat, food that causes you reflux, like tomato sauce. Don't worry about that stuff. It's not
how it works.
It is not how it works. So remember, when you're thinking about reflux, if your baby is happy, if they are spitting up, but they're happy, it's not causing a problem for them. If they're gaining weight well, if they're developing normally, if everything seems fine, but you just have some spitting up, then it's really nothing to worry about. That's going to end over, with time too. It's really all you need to remember. Your baby's digestive system is maturing and things are going to get better as they get bigger. If it's a situation where they're not gaining weight well, they're really struggling, they're really fussy all the time, they're really miserable, then that's a situation we definitely need to look at. So just kind of keep that in mind, like really look at your baby and really kind of think about, like, are they getting too much milk? Could this be a situation where I have too much milk and the baby is getting too much milk? Are we overfeeding by bottle? Is this something that we need to look at? Those things can make a huge difference. And that's about it for the reflux.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.